There is an object hidden in the sky. Our predecessors studied its appearances. Like a vast clockwork apparatus, it appeared on a fixed timeline and disappeared whole civilizations. They have left us records of this invisible eye in the sky and how they hid underground from its face. They feared the return of the Phoenix. Hello, hello. This is a pattern break. Since when do I broadcast at night? How did that happen? All right, let's see. All right, sound is good. Yeah, we've got to get into this, guys, because sometimes I'm just overwhelmed with material. I just have so much stuff, and this data set here is a visual data set. You're going to see, I promise you, you're going to see pictures you've never seen before out of old books. Some of them you have seen before. Maybe you don't know the whole story to these pictures, but this is going to be in chronological order. This is the first of 2 videos because the second video is going to be absolutely unbelievable to anyone who's not already accustomed to seeing how I show that chronological events fit these perfect mathematical patterns, even in other dimensions of arithmetic. So we're not going to go into any chronometry in this video. We're just going to go with the date. I'm going to show you what happened or what artist left us and what the historical record says about these images in the sky. This is what we're going to do tonight. But all these dates and all these pictures are also a part of the next video, which is a data set that's going to show you going forward and backward in time how everything in this video, all these anomalous, strange, really weird events are all a part of a perfect mathematical structuring connected to the Phoenix phenomenon. These 2 videos are going to be amazing. Dublin, Texas, root beer. I just bought this today. Craft soda, 100% pure cane sugar. I get a lot of my supplies from Walker's Feed in Willis. A bunch of farmers sell to them, and then they resell. I get my maple syrups and my honeys, all my dog foods, dog biscuits, everything, dog medicines. And now I might be getting my sodas because I don't even drink soda. But I might start now. All this is healthy. Soda used to be healthy. I don't even know who these people are. But they're getting a shout out from me. Appreciate that. I appreciate that little product. I'll be getting some more of that. And of course, Phoenix Blend coffee. I'm behind on everything. I've done hundreds of emails in the past 4 days. I even have help doing emails. I'm still not caught up. I'm trying to clear all 3 emails. But I'm getting there. Okay, so as a short intro, I'm going to share my screen because we need to get straight into this. My entire screen. This is going to be some fascinating material, guys. So, real fast. When the Sun Darkens was published in 2009. This is the beginning of my Phoenix research, my very first published book on the Phoenix. My second published book on the Phoenix, Nostradamus and the Planets of Apocalypse. A lot more data. Some of these events happened during the life of Nostradamus, as we'll see. My third book about the Phoenix, or it has a whole bunch of stuff about it, is Shocking Secrets of Antiquity on Amazon. This has not been published by Booktree. I'm going to rewrite it and add a lot more data to it before I give it to Paul Tice. That's my third published book. Long before I was on YouTube, I was already deep in publishing, deep in the research game. YouTube has just been the last 4.5 years. Now, in the process of my Phoenix discoveries, I found out that in world history, there's a 138-year timeline that's fixed. It never changes. But it seems like there's an adversarial force that's always trying to make us forget about this timeline, causing other events that mimic the Phoenix phenomenon, and they're always mathematically connected to it, but they're not on the 138-year timeline. There are even events that are manufactured in the field by some type of adversarial program that creates new Phoenix timelines, where an event happens and 138 years later, another event happens, 138 years later, another event happens, and 138 years later, another event happens. I have never found evidence of it being able to replicate it a fifth time on that sequence. It seems to suffer a pattern break. So it's trying to throw people off. I'm going to show you some of those sequences in this video that exist. They're fascinating what happened. And they are true patterns of 138 years between these events, but they're not on the Phoenix chronology. It's very fascinating. It's astonishing material, actually. Here again, here's the 138-year periodicity of the Phoenix. But that's not what we're discussing. We are not going to discuss a single Phoenix date in this video, not one. And yet the things I'm going to be showing you, you're going to have some aha moments like, wow, that's just like the Phoenix phenomenon, but are totally different 138-year patternings. Here it is again. Look, just a totally different type of chart. It's the same 138-year sequencing. It's just showing it with cycles and epicycles. There it is again. So this is the sum of a quarter of a century of research. Excuse me. But it's not. We've had a huge weather change. It's gone from freezing for the past week, and now it's just almost 80 degrees today. It's been very warm. It's warm in here now. So the alchemy, I want to show you guys. So interesting. I want to show you. You guys have seen some of these famous, the Flammarion. You've seen this, the guy peeking out of the little dome. Flammarion drew this in the 1880s. It's a perfect image to show simulation. It's a famous deal, but there are much older alchemical treatises that show us the Phoenix and show us the construct. And I have a video called Occultus Mysterium where I show hundreds of these pictures, and I show you they're trying to tell you that we live in a construct and that people on the surface world are kept ignorant, while people in the underworld, the elite, have all the technology, all the provisions, and they survive these resets. It's all in the alchemical literature, and the Phoenix is always hidden somewhere. Here's a old book that shows the concept, and it shows the construct and how weather is manufactured in the construct, and how astrology is actually programming, and that the stars are showing these protocols. It's all right here in this alchemical illustration here. And mankind is represented as that little dude right there at the bottom. That's humankind. That's not just a man. That's the human race right there, laying down asleep in the construct. Here, I got a better picture right here. This is from the year 1626, a Phoenix year on the 138-year periodicity. Because 1488, when Mother Shipton was born, 138 years later was 1626. This dates to 1626. 138 years later was 1764 when astronomer Hoffman saw the phoenix up against the sun with 500,000 Europeans. 138 years later is 1902. 138 years after that's 2040. So this is a better rendering right here. But this is let me get that out of the way. That's what these alchemical treatises, they're fascinating. A tremendous amount of knowledge was hidden right in plain sight. It's hidden in plain sight. This is literally a book. It's a book. It's a book in the form of a cylinder. Exquisitely detailed. Look at the detail. Look at the writing. Exquisitely detailed. Lapis Philosophorum Este, the founding of the Philosopher's Stone. See, there's Dio Ipso. Yeah, but this is super detailed. And in the middle, right here, here's the world inside the construct. All the things that make up the construct are right here listed on the inside. What governs the construct, see this red triangle pyramid? Below this red pyramid is the peacock angel. The peacock angel is another symbol for the phoenix. I have a video about the peacock angel because that's what the phoenix is called in occult literature. On my channel I have a video called "Daughters of Pale Lilith Stand," and it's about the cryptic poem Ketub in the peacock angel and its role and who we are in the construct. It's all in that poem. It's very interesting stuff. I may have to block my notifications. So the peacock angel is the phoenix, but the phoenix is everywhere. The phoenix is everywhere in this material, everywhere. These alchemical treatises were extremely detailed. There's the pyramid at the top again. This is the construct. And there's the phoenix. Phoenix is the apparatus, the protocol of resets, keeping mankind, by extension, the elite, in check. We're only gonna look at a few of them. Here's another one, right there in plain sight. The phoenix, its wings spread out over the whole world. Here's another image of the construct and everything that it entails. I know a lot of people woke up when I first showed them this. When I first showed them this coded astrology chart on the phoenix, a lot of people were still hanging on to their old world model, thinking that, man, Jason just got some really interesting things. He finds all these interesting patterns, but this Phoenix 138-year Phoenix deal, I'm just not yet convinced, even though I've shown all these episodes of what actually happened every 138 years. And then I showed this discovery here led to a lot of people on my channel just waking up. This one illustration. Here's the phoenix governing the world. How do we know it's a governor? Because it's over the world. The bottom is the world, Europa and Asia. Here it is. There's the world. Phoenix is governing over the construct using the programming of astrology. But there is a Masonic rule right here in the form of a right angle. It is the only anomaly on the chart. Everything else is bifurcated. Everything has equal left, equal right, but not this one line coming off the neck. Oh, it's touching the phoenix. That's a phoenix. This line is touching the phoenix. It's at a perfect right angle. This is the symbol of rule in Masonry. It comes right down here to this central axis. But not just the central axis. This is a transect. There's a line that transects right here in the middle. When you go left or right of this line, these are the only lines right here. Look, left and right. The phoenix through the rule hits this one line. This one line goes right through 138. You can follow it all the way to the other side, right here, where you find the corresponding 138. Now, you astrologers can probably find more stuff than me, but I found that very interesting that this phoenix, that this rule connects the actual phoenix to the latitudinal line of 138 on this chart. There's so many clues everywhere. Here's another one. This is the type of artwork that was all in vogue when they were drawing these sky dragons and drawing all these kind of just weird things that they saw in the sky that I'm going to be showing. Here's another example of the construct, Tractatus Primus. Mankind is in the center part of this construct right here. Thank you guys for letting me know how to hide that down there. I didn't know that. I thought hide meant hide the picture and allow me to talk more. I didn't know it meant hide the little tag. I don't know why this isn't blowing up, but this is really detailed. It's not letting me blow it up at all. Wow. So it doesn't matter because I have already blew up that picture myself, like this right here. This is the exact same picture. I just took it. I just show you where the phoenix is. Here's another rendering. There's another version right there. I guess that might be the same picture. But yeah, these are really interesting what they showed back then. This is from 1689. This is from the year 1689. I want to address something real quick. Somebody posted something on my Twitter. Listen, guys, don't be fooled by the flamenco stuff. Just use your heads. One of the arguments in the missing time theory is that some of the dates on monuments have the letter I and then 3 numbers, and you're being told that letter I means something else and that the actual date is 587 instead of 1587. And you're being told that some of these illustrations in books, which are written in more modern Latin, not ancient Latin, are actually 1500 years and 1400 years old. It's not true at all. That I was during a very short transitional phase. Anyone who has gone through old books from the 14, 15, 16, and 1700s knows that the dates published on books and on buildings were always in Roman numerals. They're always we hadn't even adopted the Arabic numeral system yet. So we had these long dates on buildings and these long dates on books. Then, about 400, 500 years ago, artisans they started to abbreviate the Roman numerals in the transitional phase when Europeans started adopting the Arabic numerals. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The way we see them today, those are Arabic numerals. So yeah, those aren't English. They're not French. They're not German. We all recognize them. All European countries have adopted them. They are Arabic. That's where they came from. They're Arabic numerals. So during the transitional phase, it became in vogue not to write MDCCXXVI. It got really in vogue. You want to write 1751. You didn't want to put that down. It became really in vogue to just use the Roman I for the letter 1. And then put the 3. The 3, if it's the year 1587, it's going to be I 587. It's very simple. The I was giving recognition to the pre-existing Roman numeral system, and it was just using the I as the 1. It's very simple. None of these books that have I 482, 587, 680, 83 are from 14 centuries ago. None of them. That's not even the type of Latin that was being used 14 centuries ago. No, guys, don't fall for that psyop. So here too, this is the axis mundi right here. Two snakes entwining the axis mundi. There's the corona, the crown, the cross, and the phoenix inside of a pyramid. That phoenix was a celestial body. That phoenix was something in the sky. Is something that this is what I covered in Occultus Mysterium. Because everywhere Phoenix is shown, it's always among celestial symbols. Here's the sun, here's the moon. Phoenix is in the middle. Phoenix is a governor. A governor is a system set in place that no matter how many variables and how much chaos is introduced, the governor is going to have a maintenance program that makes sure everything happens on schedule. This is why in ancient times, Phoenix was keeper of the calendar. Every 138 years, there is evidence that the Phoenix chronology is still existing. We received a tremendous amount of evidence in 1902. A lot of evidence in 1764 and in 1626, as we'll be reviewing again pretty soon. So I would suggest, if you want to know more about what mystics have long recognized about our world, you should listen to my video. It's not very long, but the syllabus is in the description box. You can look in the description box and see how to decode the entire poem. Ketub, Daughters of Pale Lilith Stand. It's on my channel, about the peacock angel and who you are in the construct in the pyramid. So I think I'm pretty much done showing all this. There's a few more pictures of the construct. The phoenix is over here on the left. This is showing you the phoenix is different than the eagle. Here's the eagle. Aquila. Here's the phoenix right here. Here's the tree of Eden. Here's man and women as Adam and Eve, butt naked. This is just a visual of a concept of the construct. Again, this is just a small corner of a gigantic illustration that I've showed on my channel in Occultus Mysterium. This is just a small portion of it, but it's got all kinds of things hidden in it. Here is the sun and two solar symbols. And when you connect them, it forms the 52-degree angle pyramid, just like the Great Pyramid. In the dead middle of that pyramid is the word Phoenix. And the Phoenix is below it. Wings are spread over fire and vapor. Right here. Here's a color version of the one I showed you earlier. There's the Phoenix inside the pyramid. It's among the celestial objects. Interestingly, that's the moon. That's the sun. Phoenix is above them in the middle, represented by this trigon. Then there are celestial objects to the left and to the right. Not sure what they are, but you're going to see a lot of stuff like that in this video. This is just the intro, guys. But the Phoenix was known everywhere in the ancient world, and Christianity adopted it as well concerning the end times, concerning the book of Revelation and the breaking of the seals. How do we know this? Let me show you a church. Let me show you a church from way back in the Republic of Macedonia, Archaix Monastery. Forgive me if I mispronounced that, but it depicts the book of Revelation in the artwork in the Archaix Monastery. And in the center of this artwork is clearly depicted a phoenix. So let me show you pictures of this, because it too is really interesting. So look at this beautiful painting from a Macedonian monastery called Archaix. Look at that. This is seven-headed beast of Revelation. It goes in a full circle. It shows all these different scenes. There's the four horsemen of the apocalypse. In the middle, you see Jesus. You see St. John the Divine writing down. But let's blow up this sphere so you can see it better. Let's blow it up to see what we see here. Oh, we have more details now. There's Jesus and the 7 candlesticks. He's in heaven surrounded by clouds. There's St. John, the divine, writing down the revelation as he's looking at Jesus. Kicking it with St. John, you can't miss it. Why would they put the phoenix right next to the revelator? What's going on? If you got bad eyes and you can't really see it, then let's go ahead and blow it up again. There's the phoenix with John the Revelator in the Macedonian monastery at Osogovo. So that's my intro. That's just for people who really don't know what we're talking about. There is a 138-year pattern in history that goes back at least 58 centuries, and we can trace it, and it's unbroken. Meaning, if we don't have the events for one of the 138-year deals, because there's been resets and libraries have, I mean, it's a common denominator through the history of the world of burned libraries. If we don't have all the data, then it's not even a big deal, because let me get out of here. Get out of here. Man, I got a lot of things open here. Every single one of them? Wow. Okay. So stop screen. So it doesn't matter if we don't have the data for one or two of the 138-year periodicities, because the next 138-year one, everything happens on time. So you can have these lacunas and we can fill them with our imagination. We know what happens, but we don't have to. We don't have to, because I have provided so much data for so many of them. I'm able to do those charts, and we can extrapolate to the very next time the Phoenix phenomenon is going to happen is in May of 2040. So what you're going to see now in this video is all Phoenix phenomenon related material, but you can't see any evidence of it in this presentation, because I'm just giving you the date and I'm showing you what happened in the historical record, and I'm showing you pictures of artwork if we have them for each event. It'll be part 2 of this video that I'm going to blow your mind, and I'm going to show you the arithmetic, how every one of these events fit perfectly with the Phoenix phenomenon in other dimensions of arithmetic. We live in a hologram. The simulacrum is based off holographic principles. In any tight structure that is in a hologram is going to be governed by arithmetic. It has to be, because there's no chaos here. This is an experience of order, and chaos is merely order unrecognized. So, let's see. Okay, I'm done sharing that. I think we're ready. Man, all these dogs making this noise. See if I got somebody. All right. All right, let's go. So I'm gonna have to share my screen again, because we have a lot of material now to go through. Some beautiful pictures. That's what we're going to be doing now. All right, so I'm going to remove that from studio, share my screen again. Let me check my chat one time before I do it. Got over 1,000 people in the chat. Yeah, I kind of knew we wouldn't have as much participation tonight. I just kind of knew it, because I just threw the idea of putting this video out. Let's see. I just did it today. I didn't know I was going live today. I did a video with Will. I can't remember Will's last name, but Will is Will's an international soccer player. His career was soccer, and he started his own YouTube channel. He's got a pretty interesting things going. He's actually interviewed. I think if it wasn't Jimmy Corsetti, it was Matt LaCroix, some of Billy Carson, David Icke. Anyway, he and I had an awesome conversation for an hour and a half, and he said he would love to set something up for me, and I gave him all the information. And as soon as he posts the video, I will give you guys the link, because we had an awesome conversation. He asked the right questions, and he just let me get in my flow. It was awesome. They're editing the video right now. Man, I can't remember that guy. He's an international soccer player. He's a black guy. Really cool, named Will. I just can't remember his last name. But he's interviewed quite a few people. All right, so let's share. Sharing screen again, so you guys can see my pretty pictures. All right, so you're gonna see about 10 quotes from different time periods. It comes from this book from over 300 years ago. It's a general chronological history of the air, seasons, weather, meteors. About 3.5 years ago, I did a video off this book, of some of the contents of this book. Pretty interesting stuff. This was the state of chronology in the world like 300 years ago. Really interesting things. It's got some things wrong that has since been corrected, but it's generally a pretty good book. So we're going to be taking direct quotes out of this text. And we're also going to be looking at the Book of Wonders. Do you guys know what the Book of Wonders is? The Book of Wonders dates to around 1550 AD. No one knows its origin. However, inside the Book of Numbers is a printer that was known. And his name is found in many other books, and Renaissance writers mention him. But other than that, the provenance of the text is unknown. We don't know who painted and put all these together. But the Book of Wonders is fascinating and provides the dates and descriptions like this right here. This is a description of what happened in 1009 AD. Notice that the Book of Wonders dates to 1550 AD. That's when it dates, but the number at the bottom is 1009 AD. And of course it says, in the year 1009, the sun went dark and the moon was seen as red, and a great earthquake struck. This was followed by the death of many people and a famine throughout Germany and Italy. It sounds just like the Phoenix phenomenon. The sun goes dark and the moon turns red. This is not an eclipse. How do we know it's not an eclipse? None of the Phoenix phenomenon dates on the 138-year timeline involve the moon. The moon was always a victim with the sun. It did not eclipse the sun. Eclipses have been known since the days of Thales of Miletus. The sun is on the right side. The moon is on the left. Or excuse me, I'm sorry. The moon is on the right and the sun is being eclipsed by something. And there's some burning rod falling from the sky. This is the year 1009. So this comes from the moon's acceleration and its physical origins by Johns Hopkins University Press, 1984, Medieval Chronicles and the Rotation of the Earth. This is an old book, a scientific book from 1972 that cites what happened in 1009 AD, this darkness over Germany. So now we go to, here's 1147. In the year 1147, a great earthquake. Moguntia shook 15 times. Moguntia doesn't exist anymore. The emperor with the Confederate princes in their way to the Holy Land, one evening a dark, thick cloud covered their camp, and whole swarms of butterflies appeared, sprinkled with blood all over, as though it had rained blood. This struck them with fear. A little after they heard thunder and the sound of a great tempest. About midnight, a violent torrent breaking out carried rapidly with it into the sea whatever resisted it in the valley. So water just suddenly appeared and washed a whole bunch of people down out of a river valley or whatever. And they found butterflies that had been sprinkled with a red stuff like blood from the sky. Remember, in the Phoenix phenomenon videos of the past, I've showed you one of the Phoenix also delivers things to our world. Sometimes frozen insects, sometimes red rain, red mud, red dust, all kind of, depending upon the relative humidity of whatever geographical location. So insect storms have fallen from the sky. So in 1147, by the authority of the Journal of Geophysical Research, 1979, looking over old museum texts, we have that over Denmark, it was recorded in 1147 that red flames and auroras were all over the northern hemisphere, as seen from Denmark. Japan in 1147 recorded a gigantic broom star that covered over 100 degrees of the sky. That's huge. That's in observations of comets from BC 611 to AD 1640, extracted from the Chinese Annals 1871. The broom star of 1147 AD. In 1423, moving forward through history, in 1423, what do we have? Let's see. 1423 was a part. You know what? That's not even supposed to be there. It's 1456, which is the next one. Yeah, 1423, that's part of a different study. I just took that out. This is 1456. That's a terrible picture. A terrible picture if you look at the details in here. All the roofs are covered in red. Blood is coming from the sky. This red energy or red destruction is coming from two stars in the sky. This is 1456. Diebold Schilling's Lucerne Chronicle. This is the Lucerne Chronicle. It portrayed that two comets appeared at the same time in 1456, and the sky rained blood. One, now, on the scorched earth, disease appeared among people, and animals started to grow two heads. Babies became deformed, and there were earthquakes. That's some pretty horrible shit to all happen at the same time. That's 1456. That's in Europe. But Naples, Italy, an earthquake killed 60,000 people in 1456. This is from the research of the Report of British Association for Advancement of Sciences, 22nd meeting, 1852. 60,000 killed, Naples, earthquake, 1456. So in 1456, Antonio Bonfini and others, they left us records of a very unusual comet that was half as long as the sky, that exhibited two tails of a golden color that looked like it was on fire. Evidence that this was Halley's Comet is found in that it traveled a retrograde orbit like Halley's. This is the theory of Halley's Comet. Scientists have put a theory together that Halley's Comet goes in reverse than other comets, and that every 75.6 or every 76.5 years it appears. The problem is there are lacunas. There are whole periods where there is no comet ever seen. And yet a comet does kind of generally appear, so they give themselves a lot of latitude. Charles Fort didn't believe them. Charles Fort said Halley's Comet is BS. He says it did not appear when it was supposed to have appeared, and comets that were not Halley's Comet were claimed to be Halley's Comet in order to fulfill the pattern. think that was very interesting. Something like a 75.7 year orbit or something. But this is 1456. It's not the only one. This is also 1456. You can see the date 1456 at the bottom. You can see the red rain on the left and red globs of dirt and stuff falling from the sky on the right. This occurred when the Turks were at the gates of Belgrade and the comet appeared. Can you imagine being a Christian hiding behind the walls of Belgrade, and the Turkish armies, the Muslims, they show up, surround your city, and all of a sudden there's a broom star in the sky, and this red rain and red mud starts falling from the sky, and it's just weird stuff starts happening. Can you imagine? So here's another 1456. This too is from the Book of Wonders. This is 1456. Here's a section of 14. Let me see. I got another little thing about 1456. In 1456, also a comet with a prodigious tail appeared and was recorded by the Chinese. That's in Williams. That's in the scientific work of Williams J. Scientific American Readings, Observations of Comets from BC 611 to AD 1640. Here's another 1456 AD. Remember, guys, I'm going to show you how these events are all mathematically connected, and it's astonishing. But first, you need to see the events. Italy and Naples were shaken by an earthquake wherein perished 40,000 people. A comet all June in Spain, and in Poland all summer. Many prodigies were seen in Italy. Wow. In a small town in Bedfordshire fell bloody rain. Drops whereof appeared on linen hung out to dry. Damn. So, going to the next one. Now listen, the Ancient Aliens, almost every single time the Ancient Aliens franchise shows this picture, they do it without the text. They don't show the text there, and they show it this way. They show it like this. This is how you see it on Ancient Aliens. They've showed this in many presentations. This is how they always show it. Tell me that's not deceitful. Tell me the Ancient Aliens franchise isn't lying when they do this. That's not how it appeared in the sky. They want you to make the mental association to a rocket ship. But that's not how the medieval manuscript is. This is how it appears. In the year 1479, a comet was seen over Arabia, and the Arabian writers described it as a beam of sharp wood or a spear with a sickle inside of it. This is recorded by the historian Antonio Junius. But yeah, this is it right here. Here's another depiction. That's how it appeared in the sky, not vertical like a rocket ship. We're going to move over to 1483. Look at this picture. There's a lot happening here. In the year, this is what the book says at the bottom. In the year 1483, locust swarms in Italy laid waste to the district around Brixen. And if Margrave Louis of Mantua had not prevented it, they would have destroyed all the crops of Lombardy. He had them killed, burned, or chased away. Afterwards, a darkening of the sun was seen, and then came a great dying, so that more than 20,000 people died in Brixen, and around 30,000 died in Venice. Wow. Not an eclipse, guys. A darkening of the sun. This is Phoenix phenomenon material. Remember what Charles Fort wrote after looking at 500 years of scientific reports. He says that a hitherto unknown body is darkening the sun. He says, it's not the moon. We don't know what it is, but it's all in the records of the past. Something is blacking out the sun, and it's causing all kinds of things on the surface of our world. Awesome picture for 1483. Also, 1483 in the Nuremberg Chronicle was the appearance of a comet in the sky. But you've got to take that with a grain of salt. The reason I'm saying that is because the word comet was used for over 1,000 years to describe anything in the sky that was not the sun and the moon or a star. Anything that was different, it was called a comet. Get some more of this. I'm going to drink to that. So we're moving to 1485. What we got for 1485 over here? That's 1485. Look at it again. Look at this. Look at it. Look how clear it is. Blood rain as a sign of the end of times. This is from Saltier, Augsburg, 1485, Basel University. That's all we know about it. 1485 is something appeared in the sky. You can see it up here. It looks like the blue sky heavens opened up and just blood fell from the sky. So in August, an epidemic broke out in London, known as the sweating sickness, a mysterious plague believed to have come from an evil mist in the sky. Some theorized its origin as being from the stars. This is where we got the term influenza from. Influenza, influence from the stars. The disease set in at night or early in the morning and resulted in death in just hours. That's 1485. So in 1506, we have the Chinese recording a comet that appeared like a great ball that later turned into a broom star. So this means we have something like the moon, a ball, that appears in the sky, gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and only at a certain size does it start exhibiting a tail. That's what a broom star is. The tail of a comet was the broom. This is in 1506. Now, this is the Chinese, but European records for 1506, it says there was seen in the night at Yeovil 3 suns in the midst of the firmament, and many clouds about them, with most frightful thunder and lightning. Monsters were produced in all countries. In the territory of Archaix, I don't know where that is, Aretse, were seen great companies of armed men on mighty horses, with a terrible noise of drums and trumpets. The spotted fever raged fatally over Italy. This was from the records of Balducius. A comet was seen in Poland. This is from the Chronicle of Funk, F-U-N-C, period. It's abbreviated. The sweating sickness began a second time, but was not near as fatal as before. The remedy was now being found out. Okay, so here we have another. These are frames of reference. The nights are not fighting in the sky. These are not 3 suns appearing at nighttime surrounded by clouds. These are 3 luminaries that appeared so bright at night that they felt it was daytime, and they could see all the surrounding clouds. And then they saw all kinds of objects. Frames of reference are how they describe things they could not identify. So they felt that there was a war happening in the sky. Therefore, they said that these were armed men clashing weapons together. And this is not the first time that this is described this way. So let's go to 1527. We got a lot of ground to cover. That's why I'm moving fast. Oh, no, this is still 1506. So here's the Book of Wonders, 1506. In the year 1506, a comet, which just means a celestial body, a comet appeared for several nights and turned its tail towards Spain. In this year, a lot of fruit a lot of fruit grew and was completely destroyed by caterpillars or rats. This was followed 8 and 9 years later in this country and in Italy by a severe earthquake, so great and violent that in Constantinople a great many buildings were knocked down and people perished. So this 1506 comet was blamed for earthquakes that happened in Constantinople 6 years later. I don't believe that. That's what they believe. That's what they put in that book. But you can see the city is ruined back here. They painted the city in ruins. But they're blaming a comet in 1506 for having done the destruction. I'm not buying it. It's just their belief. This is 1506 right here. And okay, I just had it in here twice. 1527, here's something a little different. Here's something just a little different. Again, the Book of Wonders, 1527. Now, over Europe in 1527, strange auroras were seen, and Ambrose Pare, or Ambroise Pare, I believe his name is Pare, P-A-R-E, he describes a horrible comet that appeared in this year. So this is in the writings of R.H. Majestic Lights, American Geophysical Union for the year 1980. In the Book of Wonders, it says, in the year 1527, on the 11th of October at 4 o'clock in the morning, this comet was seen in Westrich for 3/4 of an hour. And then it disappeared again. It was extremely long and yellowish red, like a diluted blood in color. At the front, the head was like a bent arm, as if it had a sword in its hand and was poised to start striking with it. Very interesting. Very interesting. Like I said, it's frames of reference. Comets appeared as swords of heaven. They're often described that way in older writings. Okay, so now we get to 1531. We're back to our old 300-year-old book again. So we have Sorrel Barbarian. What are we looking at? What is this? In Lisbon, 1,400 houses were overthrown by an earthquake, and 600 more were shaken, so shaken that they were ready to fall. Many churches were cast down. This is in the language, I don't know, it's Lang something Chronicle. There's a lot of Chronicons and Chronicles back then, like the Nuremberg Chronicles, like the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles. That's going to be a French or a Portuguese chronicle there. So Lisbon's had it bad. This is not the first time Lisbon got it. Lisbon had it bad. They got it bad coming. That's a lot of people right there who lost their houses. But this incident in 1531, we have from the report of British Association for the Advancement of Sciences, the 22nd meeting in 1852. The historical record revealed that in 1531, Lisbon, Portugal wasn't just an earthquake, but the sea itself receded, and that the ocean was involved in the earthquake as well, and that there were strange happenings, unusual phenomena. 30,000 people were killed when the buildings fell down. In China, we have, in China and Europe, in 1531, there is a comet that appears in the sky with a red tail. 1531 is also the year the Dutch had a dike failure. Something caused a dike to collapse. And when it did, 400,000 people among the Dutch were drowned. They got it bad up there in the north, in the far north. You're gonna see later when something similar happened. No, that's on the 138-year Phoenix timeline. Yeah, in 1212 AD when the 306,000 people in Holland, same thing happened to them as well. Also, 1531, when this red comet appeared and this earthquakes killed all these people, in 1531 was the year. It's the date found on the Orontius Phineas map. You guys know that map. The Orontius Phineas map is the one that shows Antarctica with running rivers being completely ice-free. It shows that there was no ice cap on Antarctica. I've made the mistake of calling it the Piri-Reis map, but the Piri-Reis map may show part of Antarctica, but it's the Orontius Phineas map that absolutely shows Antarctica with no ice cap, and that's the date 1531 for that deal, showing us there's a vapor canopy in history that we don't have it. We don't know. We don't have any records of it. It's been completely blotted out. That may, because remember, guys, I don't buy into the missing 1,000 years crap. We don't have a missing 1,000 years. We have missing history. We don't have missing years. Here's a pretty one. 1531. The comet's tail, as it first appeared in much of the High German land around the 10th day of August, and then was seen for many nights in the sky, longer than a rice skewer, 1.5 feet wide. Yeah, that's just frame of reference. There it is right there. We'll blow it up. 1531. Such a pretty star. This is followed 2 years later in 1533. This is 15. We got a lot for 1531. 4 comets stood in the sky opposite to each other so that one could see them in some parts of Nederland as they are painted. Look at this. These aren't normal comets. 2 comets coming this way, 2 comets coming that way. We're looking at something else here. They called them comets because that's their frame of reference. Everything that appeared in the sky that wasn't a star, it wasn't the moon, it wasn't the sun, is called a comet. We don't really know what they saw, but whatever it was 4 of them. And it wasn't a sun, it wasn't a moon, and it wasn't a star. We don't really know what they saw. 1531, a comet was seen in the Netherlands, which showered fiery flames like a blacksmith making sparks from iron. This is 1531 again, in the Book of Wonders. Oh, this is 1531 too. This is 1531. In the year 1531, a bloody vision with a sword in its hand was seen near Strasbourg, and in other parts as well, as a fiery citadel and an armed host on horseback. This is a frame of reference. This is just like the ancient Sumerians and Chinese when they described sky dragons when they were talking about Typhon, when the Typhon phoenix appeared. This is just descriptions. It's the phoenix phenomenon. This great red monstrous thing. We can call it the great red spaghetti monster. It's the same thing. It's all about frames of reference. This is just artistic depictions. But they saw something in the sky that looked like the phoenix. It was red, it was monstrous, and it was opposed in the sky by something else. And this is the opposition. We have the exact same thing described many times in the ancient world. It's often 2 sky dragons fighting each other. This is the description as seen from the surface of the world. 1531. This is 1531. In the year 1531, a great whale was seen in the sky. Cetus is the whale in the sky. This is just another frame of reference for an unknown monstrous body in the sky. A whale was seen in the sky that was followed by great earthquakes, so that about 200 houses collapsed and more than 1,000 people were killed. So this artist shows destroyed cities in the background, shows red in the sky, but puts the whale in the ocean because that's where whales belong. But the actual sighting was that the whale was in the sky. Typhon. 1533. You seen a buffalo in the sky? All right. Ecuador. A volcano exploded, flinging a 200-ton stone 10 miles. This is in JR Darkest Hours, Wallaby Books, 1974, page 105. A 200-ton stone was thrown 10 miles by an exploding volcano called Cotopaxi in Ecuador in the year 1533. But in the European Book of Wonders for the year 1533, we have 3 suns shone similarly, as if they had fiery clouds around them, and they stood over the city of Munster, as if the city and the houses were burning, as painted there. That's pretty interesting. 1533. 3 suns appear in the sky. 1533. 1,533 years after the birth of Christ, on Friday, after Ursula, the 24th day, such wondrous dragons were seen in the air at night on 2 hours. On 2 hours, around 10 o'clock at night, several places near Hoppenstein and at the Hofheinz house at Hilpenstein. So one city, the occupants of one city were looking up and they saw sky dragons, red sky dragons passing over the sky. Highly localized phenomena. 1533. You see this guy getting on a horse? It's a frame of reference. 1533. Augsburg. We have inscription in German language. In the year 1533, a horse in the air was seen in Bohemia, and a horseman as if he wanted to mount it, just as it is painted here. It's not a real horse, and it's not a horseman. It's a frame of reference. This is what they saw. This is what it looked like to them. But there was something in the sky that did not belong there in 1533, as all these other things are happening. Also, 1533, flying dragons were seen in Bohemia. This then went on for several days, with over 400 of them, both big and small, flying together. 1533. Now we move on to 1542. So, in the sky above Merioneth, Wales, was anomalous phenomena. The sky looked like livid fire or vapor, and it made a great devastation on land. 1542. This is what we have in the Book of Wonders, but we don't have a descriptor, I don't think. For the Book of Wonders, I don't have a translation for the Book of Wonders. I wish I did. I don't have a translation for the Book of Wonders, but I do have some side notes here. That in Sicily, there was a major earthquake and several towns were ruined. This is according to the report of the British Association for the Advancement of Science's 22nd meeting, 1852, for the year 1542, Sicily. So we don't really have a lot. 1542, the Book of Wonders. I can't read German, so I don't know what that says on the bottom. I don't have a translator. But for 1542, it looks just like what was described in Wales. A vapor appeared to be on fire, suspended in the sky, and it wrought great destruction on the ground. Maybe that's what this painting is. Maybe it didn't just appear over Wales. Maybe it appeared somewhere else too. I don't know. I don't know of anything else in the Book of Wonders that refers to Wales. So for the year 1545, we have in the year 1545, on the 29th day of March, on Palm Sunday, a terrible, ghastly vision was seen in the kingdom of Poland. At 8 o'clock in the morning, a great peal of thunder. After this, 3 red crosses were seen in the east, in the middle of which was a man in armor with a fiery sword. A great band of warriors came towards him on horseback. So, again, these are frames of reference. The sky opened up and showed them something else that was there, and they seem to be in conflict, warring again. They don't know what it is. Celestial phenomena, looks like monsters, looks like a knight taking on a whole bunch of soldiers with spears. They don't know what it is, but it happened in 1545 in the skies over Poland. We can go back to that because we're not done. Now, over Lyons, France, hailstones fell from the sky larger than lemons, killing men and beasts. This is over Lyons in 1545. But over England, there was also hail that was fist-sized over Lancashire. This is in the Chronicles of England, Scotland, and Ireland, London, published 1808. Also in 1545, in Europe, there was an earthquake throughout the whole of Europe. According to the report of the British Association for the Advancement of Sciences, 22nd meeting, 1852, for the year 1545, a European-wide earthquake in 1545. 1546, the very next year, in the month of August, the fire from the sky struck a tower in which were more than 400 tons of powder in the town of Mechel in the Netherlands. And exactly half of the city burned down. This is crazy. So this is ancillary to a great fire that was in the sky. Part of the fire in the sky came down and lit a powder magazine in the town that blew up. And here you see these little guys and pieces of architecture all blowing out everywhere. These guys are flying through the air. Yeah, this isn't the disaster. It was a disaster. But the actual disaster described here is that the sky was on fire. And some of those flames came down and hit that powder magazine and blew half of the city up. That's crazy. Well, if it wasn't for bad luck, they wouldn't have any luck at all. 1546 in Palestine. That was in Europe. But in the same year, in Palestine, there was a major earthquake and the ocean was acting tumultuous. In the year 15, we need to go back. We're not ready for that one yet. We're not ready for that one yet. In the year 1551, Lisbon, Portugal. Man, they got no luck either. Lisbon, Portugal was documenting sky auroras during an earthquake and red rods in the sky that appeared just before the earthquake shocks. Giant red rods in the sky appeared just before the earthquake shocks. These red cylinders in the sky are rumored to have terrified the population. Now, we note that another reference speaks of a fiery meteor seen in January at the time of the Great Earthquake. This is the source is H. Wilkins, New York Ace Books, 1967. Not much on that date, just 1551. We don't have hardly anything on that date. That was a real small, highly localized event. But the following year is 1552. You see it right there. That's 1,000 plus the Phoenix cycle, 552 years. In AD 1552, in the month of May, on May 17th, you guys know that date. On May 17th, such a terrible storm with hail descended on Dordrecht in Holland, that the people thought the day of judgment was coming, and it lasted about half an hour. Several of the stones weighed up to a few pounds and ate lot, and where they fell, they gave a frightful stench. Can you imagine hailstones larger than grapefruit. And yet, during the hailstorms, as they hit the ground, they released a putrid, decaying smell. I can imagine it. I read all about it in Charles Fort's book, right here, right there, Book of the Damned. I read all about it. 500 years of scientific reports of ice falling from the sky and smelling like putrid decay. Our world is not what you think. I say it all the time. So that's in Holland. But in Bavaria, ice fell that looked like white flints, like white flint stones, and wreaked great destruction across the country. This is in Bavaria, May 19th, 1552. This is in Decipherin's Observations of the Fall of Stones from Clouds, Aerolites in Philosophical Magazine, Volume 44, September 1814. It's crazy. An ice storm, and the ice smells like putrid decay in the month of May. Crazy. Can't make this stuff up. So this is 1554. This is the month of May, 1554. Blood rains over Hans Glasser. 1554, we have blood rains. I think this is Germany. Look at that. Here's a blood rain. Now, we also have reference over Salon de Provence, I believe it's France, in 1554. We have the moon was bleeding on the earth. That's a frame of reference, but that's what they thought. They thought the moon was bleeding on the earth. That's crazy. There appeared about the moon a burning fire, emitting a great noise, what seemed to be the point of a lance, turning from side to side, turning from side to side, from east to west, casting out flames on all sides. Guess who wrote that? 1554, Salon de Provence, France. Guess who wrote about this blood rain and the moon being on fire? None other than Michel de Nostradamus. Wow. So he wrote, the people of Saxony near Wittenberg beheld a strange sight. This is according to, I can't even pronounce it. Boistuau. It's a French word. Boistuau. In Histories of Prodigies, a great cross appeared in the sky, surrounded by two large armies that made a lot of noise while they fought. Blood fell to the ground like rain, and the sun split in two. One piece of the sun which seemed to drop to the earth. Wow. Wow. In 1554, they witnessed this with their own eyes, as a broadsheet was published in June of that same year. A bloody, fiery ray bisected the sun, followed by a clash between cavalry, each side bearing guidons. That's another French word, probably some type of armor. War raged for hours, and then, as suddenly as they appeared, the combatants in the sky trotted off into the clouds and disappeared. The historian Philip Melanchthon, born in 1497, died in 1560, who systematized Luther's theology. He saw these scenes painted across the sky as communications from God. This historian left us this right here. He said, this is Philip Melanchthon. For if these signs are not meant to be considered, why are they written and painted on the sky by divine providence? Since God has engraved these marks in the sky in order to announce great upheavals for the states, it is impiety to turn one's mind away from their observation. What are eclipses, conjunctions, portents, meteors, or comets, if not oracles of God which threaten great calamities and changes for the life of men? Question mark. This is also 1554. This is a broadsheet from 1554. I want to show you something. This is really, I need you to pay attention, because what do you see in this picture? This is not the sun. This is not the sun. It is the moon. The moon is issuing flames that turn into blood drops when they rain on the world. But even more so, I need you to remember this shape. That shape has been recorded as being seen in the sky multiple times in different times over the northern hemisphere. That shape is a constant visitor to our skies. 1554, the exact same year, there were earthquakes in Iceland. Violent shocks lasted for 2 whole weeks. People had to live in tents. No one could live in shaking structures. 1554, in Belgium, there was a massive earthquake and a lot of subterranean noise, with more shocks following. This was in March, but in April, more earthquake shocks followed. Can you imagine hearing noise from underground and then earthquakes destroy your villages and towns? That's in 1554. In the month of May, 1554, over Korea, it was strange, fiery-like vapors. Fiery-like vapors in auroras were not seen in the north. They were seen in the south in 1554. 1554, a comet appeared over Europe, inspiring fear and awe. Further, in 1554, the crescent moon ejected a bright arrow of flame into the night sky. That's what you're looking at here. This is 1555. 1555. Yugoslavia, earthquake. The city of Skopje is wrecked. Other than that, we don't know a whole lot about 1555, but whatever this earthquake was, there was a sky dragon. There's a phoenix in the sky right here. Or a monster, a dragon. I'm not just going to call it out like that. Y'all, here's the tail. This is the sky dragon. Here's the tail. Here's the red explosive stuff that could be wings. There's the head. 2 front forward claws is grabbing this female right here. And the ground is on fire. This is 1555. We don't have a lot of data for it. Let's see. This is 1556. Oh man, Gloucester. Is it Gloucester? Gloucester, England. Gloucester, England. I want to say Gloucestershire, but I know that's not how you say it. Gloucestershire, England. Why you guys got to be so complicated over there across the pond? 1556. Unusual lightning is seen in the sky. 8 people are killed by fiery sulfurous globe that appeared inside someone's residence. It's a really weird thing. Fireball, really weird thing to document. But in China, there was an earthquake. Earthquakes happen all the time, but the reason it's mentioned here is it happened in 1556. 830 100,000 people are estimated to have died almost instantly in the earthquake that afflicted China. That's a terrible earthquake. It's a famous earthquake, and it's been written about in many, many books. But that death toll is horrific. Almost 1 million people. 1556. In Europe, there was an earthquake. 26 towns were completely ruined. Again, this is all the same thing. Report of the British Association for the Advancement of Sciences. It's a huge list of all these destructions. 22nd meeting, 1852. In Malta, in the Mediterranean, a sudden water spout appeared and drowned 600 men, sinking an entire war fleet. That's crazy. Can you imagine being out there? All your battleships in array with whatever you're going to do, you're doing practices and all that, and all of a sudden a water spout appears, sucks all your ships down in the ground, kills 600 men, sinks your nature, just totally sank your navy. It's crazy. You know how long it takes to make those ships? That was 1556. This is also from 1556. We don't really know what we're looking at here. It's like a halo around the sun. I believe that says the month of May. Does that say Mayum? Mayum 15. Yeah, this is the month of May, 1556. Well, I think it's High German. I can't read this. Very unusual. Why would you be looking at a star right next to the sun? What appeared next to the sun in the daytime that you could see? Look at this picture here for the year 1560. Look at this picture here. Wow. This is a broadsheet from Nuremberg. So in England, there was some strange aurora and burning spears seen in the sky over England in 1560. Over France, it was red-colored rain, and red rain fell at Louvain, also at Ebden. In 1560, at Lilbourne, some object fell from the sky and set fire to a magazine. We saw it already happened a few years before that too. About a decade before that, it happened to hit that powder magazine and blew them little dudes in the sky. This is, they're citing William Corliss. I have that book. The book it's citing, yeah, Dark Days, Anomalous Precipitation, and Related Weather Phenomena. I have that on the book Sourcebook Project right now up here. A catalog of meteorites and fireballs from AD 2 to AD 1860. I've got that book as well. 1560 over Germany. Strange aurora in the sky of great brilliance. We don't really know what's being depicted in this broadsheet because I can't read German. But this right here is a depiction of what was seen. It looks like flames coming down from the sky. 1560. Pretty detailed picture. So we do have more. We do have another one here. This is the exact same broadsheet with less detail. There were a bunch of them circulating around. Just looking to see if there's slight differences. There are different. I'll be damned. So this was a famous event. Here's two different copies of the broadsheet. I was looking to see if they were the same, but they're not. This is not a photograph that was digitally rendered with more color. They are different broadsheets covering the same event because the text is slightly different. The typeset is slightly different, going back and forth between them. Whoops, went too far. Yep. You can see at the bottom, they're different. They're different sheets. I'll be damned. The year is 1561, again over Nuremberg. Look at this picture. The sun is turned upside down. What's going on with the moon? The moon's larger than the sun here. But what's going on with the moon? Have we seen this before? Absolutely. William Corliss documented the same phenomenon in a modern telescope. Look at that. Tell me that don't look like this. What? Look at that. Even this was an anomaly. They couldn't describe. They couldn't figure out what they were looking at here either. There it is. I couldn't believe that when I found that in the Corliss book and I was flipping through it. It's like, what? I've seen this before. 1561. In the year 1561, Mother Shipton died. Sir Francis Bacon was born. That's two famous people. And in this year, Nostradamus was 58 years old and he finished his prophecies called the Centuries. So we have a huge event. This broadsheet describes this famous event right here. This is 1561, Nuremberg. Where have you seen that shape before? Where have you seen that shape before? This is a color version. Here is the actual broadsheet. You've seen this. In the morning of April 14th, 1561, at daybreak, between 4 and 5 a.m., a dreadful apparition occurred on the sun. I don't know why it says between 4 and 5 a.m. That can't be possible. A dreadful apparition appeared on the sun. Oh, I think it's between the 4th and 5th hour. A dreadful apparition, the fourth and 5th hour after daybreak. A dreadful apparition occurred on the sun, and then this was seen in Nuremberg in the city, before the gates and in the country by many men and women. At first there appeared to be, in the middle of the sun, two blood-red semicircular arcs, just like the moon in its last quarter. And in the sun above and below and on both sides, the color was blood. There stood a round ball, partly dull, partly black ferrous in color. Likewise, there stood on both sides, and as a torus about the sun, such blood-red ones and other balls in large number, about 3 in a line and 4 in a square. Also some alone. In between these globes there were visible a few blood-red crosses, between which there were blood-red stripes, becoming thicker to the rear and in the front malleable like the rods of reed glass, which were intermingled among them in two big rods, one on the right, the other on the left, and within the small and big rods there were 3, also 4, and more globes. These all started to fight among themselves, so that the globes, which were first in the sun, flew out to the one standing on both sides. Thereafter, the globes standing outside the sun and in the small and large rods flew into the sun. Besides, the globes flew back and forth among themselves and fought vehemently with each other for over an hour. And when the conflict in and again out of the sun was most intense, they became fatigued, and in such an extent that they all, as said above, fell from the sun and down to the earth, as if they all burned, and they then wasted away on the earth with immense smoke. Immense smoke. After all this, there was something like a black spear, very long and thick, sided, the shaft pointed to the east, the point pointed west. Whatever such signs mean, God alone knows. Although we have seen shortly one after another many kinds of signs on the heaven which are sent to us by the Almighty God to bring us to repentance, we still are, unfortunately, so ungrateful that we despise such high signs and miracles of God. That's crazy. That's what all that says at the bottom. Yep. That is crazy. I ain't checked my chat in a long time. All right. In the year 1314, precisely on the Nemesis X timeline, we have the description of an object just like this that blots out all the stars in the sky. And in the records of Europe, it goes down as the seventh of the seven comets over Europe that appeared in the early 1300s. It's the black. They call it the Black Comet, but it's during the period of the seven comets over Europe. It's crazy. So Mother Shipton died in the same year of 1561, who gave us the prophecy of the return of the two sky dragons we know of as Phoenix and Nemesis X. And Sir Bacon was born in the same year. Let's see. Also in 1561, do I have more 1561s? I think I do. No, that's it. Also in 1561, over Torgau, Prussia, rocks fell from the sky. Some of them were weighed to be 39 pounds. It's very interesting. So we go to the year 1566. You guys have seen this. It's pretty famous too. This is the broadsheet. It's not very clear. This one's much clearer right here. During the year 1566, on the 27th of July, after the sun had shone warm on a clear, bright day, around 9 p.m., it suddenly took a different shape and color. Why would the sun be out at 9 p.m.? That doesn't make sense. Sun must have been going down. It suddenly took a different shape and color. First, the sun lost all its radiance and luster, and it was no bigger than a full moon. And finally, it seemed to weep tears of blood, and the air behind it went dark. And the sun was seen by all the people of the city and countryside. In much the same way, also the moon, which has already been almost full and has shone through the night, assuming an almost blood-red color in the sky. The next day, Sunday, the sun rose at about 6 o'clock and slept with the same appearance it had when it was lying before. He lit the houses, streets, and around as if everything was blood red and fiery. At the dawn of August 7th, we saw large black spheres coming and going with great speed and precipitation before the sun, and chattered as if they had led a fight. Many of them were fiery red and soon crumbled and then extinguished. This was a 2-day, this was a 2-day period then. This happened over 2 days. The sun was showing unusual phenomena for 2 days, and on the end of the second day, all these things appeared. 1566, 5 years after 1561, when the Great Black Sphere appeared. Also in 1566, in Europe, there were serious floods on the Rhine, the Danube, Drau, the Save. Flooding lasted for over a month. 1566, over Basel, Switzerland, anomalous phenomena. That's what you're looking at here. Anomalous phenomena, dark spheres around the sun turned red and went out. Princeton University Press. Yeah, it's just unusual, guys. The date is fantastic. I'm going to show you guys in the next video all these dates, but 1561 especially is so critical. It's amazing the things I've found about that. Look at this picture. Look at this broadsheet. This is 1591. But before we get here, 1590, what do we have in 1590? Great spots on the sun and earth, a couple earthquakes, nothing big. 1590. 1591, we got this broadsheet right here. But I can't read German, so I couldn't even tell you what the hell it is. I do see that it's discussing Nuremberg, because that's easy to see. Or Wormberg, not Nuremberg, it might be Wormberg. I can't really say, because I can't read German. Don't really know what's happening here, but it looks like the sky's on fire. It looks like part of the sky is being peeled back so you can see stars. There's smoke in the sky. There's a beam of light coming down. People on the ground are pointing up at the sky. So I really don't know what this is showing. Gonna need some context. I just don't know. So I'm gonna move on. We're gonna move on. 1608. We got blood. We got blood raining from the sky in 1608. Britain, there's a severe winter. The Firth of Forth is frozen. It's called the Great Winter in 1608, Britain. It was extremely cold in Danzig in Europe. All the ditches were frozen solid. In Scotland, there was an earthquake. Felt Dundee, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Aberdeen, Crosswell, all of them damaged by the earthquake. 1608. Not a whole lot else in 1608. This broadsheet covers the year 1620. 1620, over Muhammad's tomb in 1620, translated from the Italian into English. This was recorded by the Muslims. Over Muhammad's tomb, it rained blood. Something appeared in the sky. Again, you have your armies, and you have armies fighting in the sky. It's all frames of reference. We don't know exactly what they saw. We just don't. But over Europe, there was a lunar eclipse over Europe. But we don't even know if it's a real, if it was a if it was a moon darkening, or if it was an actual eclipse. We don't know. The moon vanished in totality. That does not mean it's an eclipse. You have to understand the uniformitarian publications are always going to call it an eclipse. It does not mean it's an eclipse. Charles Fort documented 500 years of scientific reports when both the sun and the moon darkened, and it wasn't an eclipse. Something else was going on. So 1620, in the year 1620, we have the moon completely vanishing, and there is blood raining from the skies. Oh, this is an old German newspaper from the month of June 25th. Talks about 8 straight days the water in Germany was red like blood. That's crazy. Here's the same broadsheet. The year 1620, we have right here, the Turks saw a surprising meteor at Medina, their prophets' burying place, which continued 3 weeks together. September the 20th, there fell a great tempest, attended with a fearful thunder and midnight. When the clouds were dispersed and the sky clear, the following was most legible in the firmament, in Arabic characters. Oh, why will ye believe in lies? Do you understand what's being said here? This is a 300-year-old book. This is a European book. This book is confirming what is seen in this broadsheet. This broadsheet is a translation from Italian. The Italian is conveying a Muslim story about what they saw in the year 1620 over Muhammad's tomb. An independent source from this German broadsheet is this book in English from 300 years ago, which is a chronology of prodigious things that were seen in the sky. Here is a second source. 1620, the Muslims are talking about something appearing in the sky and a great tempest raining down, and they heard and they saw symbols in the sky that to them looked like Arabic. And the Arabic characters in the sky read, "Why will ye believe in lies?" So it's all frames of reference. We don't know exactly what they saw. We have no idea. But and between 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, there appeared a woman in white, compassed about with the sun, having a cheerful countenance and a book in her hand. Over against her were armies of Turks, Persians, and Arabians. This is what the Muslims saw when they looked in the sky. It goes on and on and on. It's probably a long account. Yeah, it's 1620. Here's the year 1628. Year 1628. England, meteorites, Oxfordshire. The largest stone measured that fell from the sky in 1628 in the month of April was 26 pounds. British Museum, Natural History, MH, Catalog of Meteorites, 1966. Also in 1628 in Italy, a massive landslide killed 2,200 people, buried them alive. Wow. That's from Gentleman's Magazine, volume 43 for the year 1773. The article is called An Account of the Destruction of Pleurs by the Fall of the Mountains. Wow. 1646. 1646, we have the sea broke in at Dordrecht in Holland and thereabout and drowned 10,000 people. About Dalar in Friesland and in Zealand. This is the original Zealand, not New Zealand. In Zealand, it drowned 100,000 people and 300 villages, some of whose steeples and towers yet appear when the tide is out. So what's being discussed, what it's saying here is there was subsidence. It's part of the Phoenix phenomenon. A whole coastal area just sank. The ocean didn't get bigger. The hinterland suffered subsidence and it sank. And when the tide was low, you could see the tops of buildings and towers that would form there, killed all those people. Also in the year 1646, Constantinople, formerly Byzantium, was ruined in an earthquake. And a tsunami during the earthquake stranded 136 ships. Wow. 1646. A pyramidal apparition emerged out of the earth as seen from parts of England on May 20th. And this pyramidal form was rising. A second pyramid upside down was coming down from the sky to meet it, to look like an hourglass. May 20th, over England, 1646. In Italy, on May 16th, 1646, rain fell with sulfur from the sky. Wow, this is in Historic Natural Events, Nature, Volume 126, 1930. 1646. On May 20th, strange sounds accompanied with rumblings were heard in the skies over England, throughout Norfolk, Suffolk, and Cambridgeshire. A pillar of cloud appeared that seemed to ascend from the earth, pyramidal in form. Others describe it as a steeple ascending from the earth. At the same time, the witnesses claim that a cloudy spike descended from the sky to encounter it. The World's Most Mysterious Objects, page 108. So crazy. The year is 1656. This is 1656 is 138 times 12. It is the duration of the book of Genesis from Adam to Noah. It is the duration of the pre-flood world. 1656 is the period of time, according to Rashi, almost 1,000 years ago, that the world is destroyed in intervals of 1656 years. In Anno Domini, our calendar, the year 1656, we have: in the summer, the plague raged in Naples, so that 6,000 died in a single day. At the same time, in Turkish Candia, that the inhabitants abandoned several towns. I'm going to blow this up. And left them desolate. In 1656, at the same time, the plague afflicted Italy, Rome, and Genoa. At Benevento, in November, 9,000 inhabitants, which had 9,000 inhabitants, 8,500 died. That left only 500 people left. The summer being very equal with heat, rain, and south wind, the air not quite cleared from the remains of the plague of 54. The smallpox raged terribly among all ages and sexes, and a malignant spotted fever, whereas great numbers died the first or fourth day, or in the decline of the disease, which was of the malignant kind, with vomiting, nausea, palpitation of the heart, syncope, delirium, shortening of breath, cough, bloody urine, dysentery, involuntary tears, face and body red. They used, I don't know what all this stuff is. Hungarian fever raged. It seems that 1656 was a year of plague. That was really bad. Rome suffered the plague and a famine. Then there was a terrible flood and an earthquake in Platina. The drought in England lasted to the spring. Floods in Danube and the banks. Yeah, it's just a bad year altogether. France, there were floods. Many people and cattle drowned. Whole entire bridges were carried away in 1656. The river Danube, I believe that's Germany, it flooded. Heavy rains. 16 towns and villages were swept away. This is a general chronological history of the air. That's this book here. Yeah, 1656 was the great flood in the book of Genesis. So it's kind of apt that floods would happen. It's a cross-calendrical parallel. Floods would happen this year. Here's a pretty unique picture. This is 1665. 1665, Stralsund. Celestial phenomena over Stralsund refers to reports from Stralsund, Swedish Pomerania, now Germany, during 1665 of unusual flying ships allegedly seen over Stralsund, now sometimes considered UFOs in the modern context. Remember, we're dealing with frames of reference. We don't know what they saw. These ships were described as being dark gray or having a color being like the rising moon, and sometimes said to be covered by a dome, like that of a hat, as well as being saucer-shaped like a plate, often said to be seen flying over St. Nicholas Church near the Baltic Sea. It's interesting. We just don't know what they saw. Now, ships are mechanical contrivances. So that kind of gives you an idea of how complex what they were seeing was. Like they're seeing machinery in the sky. 1665, China. The sun had spots on it, according to the Chinese, in 1665. Also in 1665, a blue fibrous material reigned over Germany. Some type of bluish fibrous material rained from the skies over Germany. And in England, there was a comet, and it was the brightest comet since 1618. 1665, over Norway, there was a fall of sulfur from the sky. That sounds like Sodom and Gomorrah stuff there. In England, there was a great gray ball fell in a storm at Norfolk, causing much damage. It even killed one person. A great gray ball fell from the sky during a rainstorm, did a bunch of damage, and killed somebody. Man, can you imagine? 1665, earthquake across North America, preceded by a very loud noise. Wow. Skyquake. 1665, the Great Black Death Plague in London, England alone killed 68,596 people. But estimates of the total death toll in England are closer to 100,000 people between this year and 1666. Wow. 1665 was a terrible year for England. Terrible year. What we got here? This is 1665 too. Remember I said it was mechanical in nature? Well, they don't know what they saw. So here's another depiction of 1665. There it shows an angel carrying some type of disc. Looks like almost the exact same disc that we saw the 5 rings of the Olympics came together in the Olympic ceremony. So crazy. Okay, this was 1679. I really don't know what we're looking at here. 1679. An earthquake in Turkey, Armenia. It is devastating. Flames issued from the ground during the earthquake. Can you imagine that? Fire busting out the ground during an earthquake? Man, you ain't got a chance. You ain't got a chance. It's crazy. Oh, I know what this is. I know what this is. But we're not there yet. We're not here yet. I'm going to go back to this. 1752, on April 15th, an octagonal star appeared over Slovenge, Norway, and fiery orbs fell from the sky and started fires, and sometimes large streaks appeared across the sky. It must have been large enough for the witnesses to determine that it was octagonal in shape. That means it had to have been larger than the moon or larger than the sun for them to be able to see distinct lines to determine that it was an 8-sided figure, an octagon. It must have been huge in the sky, whatever it was. It's in the year 1752. Now there was fiery orbs that attended it. This kind of betrays the fact that whatever it was a local phenomenon. This is in 1752. It is famous. It is the octagonal star that appeared over Norway. 1755. We don't have any pictures for it, although you can find some. There's whole books about it. With 1755, it's called the Great Lisbon Earthquake. But the truth is that unusual things were seen and heard in the sky hours before the earthquake began. And then the earthquake actually began in Siberia, passed over Russia, Germany, Prussia, Italy, all over Spain. It was a continental. It covered the entire Asian continent all the way into Europe, and Lisbon, Portugal bore the brunt of it, and 60,000 people lost their lives in the ocean, and they were never seen again. All the ships were pulled out. It was gone. It's the life got sucked out of Lisbon, Portugal, 1755. Then we get to 1763. That's what this is about. 1763 in January. I'm gonna let me find this account. We got a lot of stuff that happened in 1763, but this right here, a true and wonderful narrative of 2 entire particular phenomena which were seen in the sky in Germany. This was published in 1764, which is a Phoenix year in the 138-year Phoenix timeline. But what it's describing was actually seen in 1763. We hear with the greatest astonishment that near Riga in Livonia has been seen in the open sky a fiery rod which struck about it, and the points of the rod were full of blood. 4 great swords stood in the starry heaven, which very often vanished and soon appeared again. They did strike together like flashes of fire round a house. It was frightful to behold. Likewise was it to be seen with horror a pretty large coffin in the sky, which was covered with 3 dead heads, also a pyramid and a serpent. Wait, I'm going the wrong way. So opens the first of 2 accounts detailing, 2 different accounts detailing the unusual phenomena seen in the skies over Riga and Kirchberg near Gansk in 1763. Published by Mannheim-born Philadelphia printer Anton Armbruster in the following year, 1764. This short pamphlet was a translation of a German broadside titled Sie Wafraft von ganz besonderem Himmelszeichen. I don't even know if I said that right. Why this translation for Philadelphia? Such strange news from Prussia would have likely appealed to the city's many German immigrants. But there was maybe more to Armbruster's publication. Despite occurring across the other side of the world, such ominous signs from a wrathful God, unhappy with a wayward populace, could speak to the citizens of the much embattled Pennsylvania province. The year of 1764 was a troubled time for Philadelphia after Armbruster's former business partner Benjamin Franklin had, in early February, turned back the Paxton Boys vigilante mob on their way to murder Susquehannock Indians. A pamphlet war broke out in the city of brotherly love. Pamphlets were the main, before newspapers. Pamphlets were the way information was traveled in the medieval and early Renaissance period. Nearly a quarter of the 70 plus pamphlets either excoriating or apologizing for the Paxton Gang's violence were printed on the press owned by Benjamin Franklin and operated by Armbruster. Did the latter then take a break from the ongoing provincial war of words to issue a transcendental warning to Philadelphians? This is what the pamphlet says. These are the forebodings of the Creator, which go before punishment. A sky-born youth in white proclaimed to the multitude near Riga, amid the thunderous lightning and apparitions of swords, snakes, and skulls, in the town of Kirchberg, outside Gdansk, or Dansk, a 3-day sail from Riga along the Baltic's southern shore. Similar vengeful scenes were reported in the skies. For a full 48 hours, the tempest's fiery red clouds alternately closed and opened to reveal a cannon and swords, along with 3 angels enjoining citizens to quit their vice and unrighteousness, or God will punish you very quick. Yeah, they had a hell of an imagination. We really don't know what they saw. We don't know what they saw. But they saw it in 1763, and in 1764, this guy republished it in English. It's crazy. 1763. There's a whole lot happened in 1763. Oh my God. So I'm going to go back to this. Sweden in 1763, there was an earthquake in January as the air above hissed and rocks fell from the sky during an earthquake. 1763 in England in January, a great object fell from the sky, bright as the moon. 1763 in April, in Decca, India, there was an earthquake. The river Ganges rose 20 feet. Over 500 ships were lost and many drowned. There were earthquakes. 1763 in June, in Hungary, there is an earthquake that causes great damage. Many killed in the after the earthquake. 1763 in July, Pressburg, Hungary, there is a fall. A plague of insects fall from the sky. A strange fog. Wow, that's just crazy. That's in 1763. Remember, the Phoenix also brings plague mists and brings fogs and obscurations, all that. 1763, August. 1763, September. I don't even know how to say this. Banda, the Molucca Islands, volcano erupts. Papenburg erupted. Earthquake and tsunamis, but only 7 are known to have been killed. 1763, September, Sweden, something falls from the sky, a vast globe of fiery with a fiery tail. September 1763, Weymouth, Dorset, sea disturbance. The sea rose and fell 10 feet instantly, and it was known to be the result of an earthquake somewhere else. 1763, September. Wow. October 1763, England and Ireland, there are gale force winds and flooding. Many bridges in Ireland are swept away. 7 drowned in Kilkenny. And in October 1763 in Uppsala, Sweden, there's strange auroras in the sky underneath the cloud cover. Isn't that a really unique statement? Strange auroras underneath the cloud cover over Uppsala, Sweden. 1763, in October, North America, there is an earthquake of violent shock at Philadelphia. There is little damage. In the month of December 1763, West Broman, West Robothnia, Sweden, there is an earthquake as there is fire in the air during the shock. Wow. Also, I skipped this one. 1763, August 19th, a great darkness came upon London, England. It was not an eclipse. That's crazy. 1763, guys. Many of you have seen this famous picture I'm about to show. 1833. A spectacular meteor shower, one of the greatest in recorded history, over North America in November 12th through 13th over the United States. As this massive meteor shower was taking place, here's a illustration of it. I think it's an engraving. As this massive meteor shower was taking place, an island called Tuanaki that had 5,000 inhabitants vanished without a trace. The island and everybody on it went, just like Atlantis, sunk beneath the ocean. The island was called Tuanaki. This meteor shower happened in the month of May. Over France in 1833, there was a huge meteor shower over France and a shower of fire in the sky near Caen and Argenton. The big meteor shower of this picture happened in November over the United States. In India, there was fallout from the sky, but it was dead and stinking dry fish that rained on India at a place called Futtehpur. 1833, over France, it rained toads. That's just crazy. It rained frogs or toads over France in 1833 in the month of June. But in September of 1833 in Scotland, slow-moving fireball was seen for a minute and it rained some weird fallout from the sky. 1833 over Scotland, September 18th in 1833 over Sussex, England, there was an earthquake, a shock at Chichester. It threw down many chimneys. A man was killed by a chalk fall. I guess that would have been a cliff of chalk. I'm not sure what it really meant by that. But it was just an earthquake at Sussex, England in September 1833. Also in September 1833, there was an earthquake in Peru. The town of Tacna was absolutely ruined. The shock extended for hundreds of miles. In November of 1833, we have the meteor shower here that was, estimated at 240,000 meteors in 9 hours. That's a lot. This comes from The World of Wonders by Castle and Potter and Galpin, 1875. In 1833, there was meteorites that fell from the sky over Moravia. A shower of stones over Blansko, Moravia, to be precise. In November of 1833, there was also meteorites that showered India. A shower of stones actually killed one person at Kandahar. Wow. November 1833 at Sumatra, there was an earthquake. Shock and seismic sea wave devastated the southwest coast. In December of 1833 in Russia, meteorites fell from the sky. A 30-pound stone fell at Volhynia. So crazy. 1847. We're getting close to wrapping this up. 1847. Well, wrapping it up before I do my summary. Iowa, United States, meteorites, 2.5 pounds on average, fall to the ground after explosions in the sky. At Marion is found one that was 40 pounds and another that was 20 pounds. Can you imagine rocks that big falling from the sky? It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So in 1847, on December 8th, the sky blacked. The sky went dark on a clear day over Arkansas. Strange clouds materializing and a reddish glow appeared over Forest Hill before a huge explosion was heard from the sky. A meteorite then crashed outside the town, creating a hole 8 foot deep. Within minutes, the sky cleared. So crazy. 1847, Bohemia. A meteorite, 37 pounds. Iron broke through a house. It was a meteorite of iron broke through a house roof at Brunel. 1847, in London was recorded strange auroras, magnificent auroras at Greenwich, and great magnetic disturbances. 1847. 1847, October, the Bay of Bengal, there is an earthquake. A tsunami inundates Condal Island. Wow. 1870, our second to last date, 1870. On February 12th, a luminous object was seen in the sky over Italy, attended with an earthquake, and followed by a rain of sand the next day. A rain of sand. Wow. Over India in 1870 was a meteorite, 10 pounds, that fell at Netagola. The concussion of the fall actually stunned a man that was nearby. In the North Atlantic in 1870, in February, there was low barometric pressure readings recorded by the SS Tarifa. It registered a barometric reading of 27.33 inches, which apparently must be very low for it to have been mentioned in this book. In 1870, in March, equatorial Atlantic, there is anomalous phenomena seen in the sky. A circular cloud with a tail moved against the wind for half an hour. Can you imagine seeing something like that? You're a mariner. You've been doing this all your life. You know exactly how the waves, water, wind is all supposed to act. And yet, you're looking at a cloud shaped like a ring that's moving in the opposite direction as the wind for half an hour. Yeah, that would freak me out. I would definitely be freaked out about that. I would. So I'm going to move that. I'm going to get that out of here. Did I just cross myself out? All right. Cancel. Stop screen. There I am. I'm back. Earthquake in Tibet, 1870. Earthquake in China killed 2,298 people in the I can't even say that, Xuan province. Earthquake in Tibet in month of May killed 10,000 people, attended by fireballs. 1870, an earthquake in Peru. Wow. 1870, strange white auroras filled the sky over Nairn, Scotland. 1870, Suffolk, England, strange auroras of bright red with white rays over Lowestoft. 1870, over the United States, unusual sunspots appeared over the sun. In September 1870, over Scotland, again, strange auroras, all sky aurora. The entire sky is an aurora. Wow. To within 15 degrees of the southern horizon. As seen from Aberdeen. 1870, October, United States and Canada, earthquake, shock felt at Boston, New York, Montreal, Toronto, and throughout Ontario and Quebec provinces. 1870, London aurora, The sky was one mass of fire. Wow. Aurora over Europe in 1870 October, intensely red. As seen from Holland, Germany, England, Belgium, Poland, and Russia. That's the entire northern hemisphere. Wow. So you guys remember, I've discussed this in the past. 1917, the Fatima apparition. You can't fool 70,000 people that's, on this level. I mean, well, we're dealing with highly localized phenomena. The reason I'm saying this is because many of the things that I just described to you, they all involve the sun in some way. And yet, if the sun was 93 million miles away, the entire world would have documented every single one of these phenomena. But that's not what we find in the historical record. Over and over and over, we find in the historical record that these destructions and cataclysms are highly local, and that what is observed from the surface of the world is very localized, like in 1917. In 1917, the Fatima apparition was witnessed by 70,000 people. 70,000. They were all together, Portugal, and they're watching the sky. The sun actually stops moving and plunges back toward where it rose up on the horizon. Such an event could not have happened if the sun is 93 million miles away, because it means that our world, it would have to be a globe, and our world would have spun, and that's what caused the sun to move that erratically like that, because within minutes the 70,000 people watched the sun go right back into the sky and then shake and zigzag and move erratically before it stabilized back into its place. That could not have happened if we're living on a globe. But if the entire sky is simulated, as the Archaix model demonstrates, then it very well could happen. It is the stellosphere and the objects within it that move. We do not. We are fixed. So this changes everything in the historical record and makes sense. All academia and scholarship are always dismissing events as being imaginative, or they just outright dismiss them. They don't want to deal with the issue that over Nuremberg, these great things were seen in the sky, but 100 miles away, no one else reported the same similar things that were tormenting the people of Nuremberg. Over and over and over, like the 1847 incident in Arkansas, where the whole town looked up in the sky on a blue sky day. All of a sudden, the sun went dark, and then clouds appeared out of nowhere. Then the clouds opened up, and it was some reddish haze, and then all of a sudden, rocks started falling from the sky. Over and over and over, highly localized phenomena occur, like in 1917. They saw the sun move erratically, and that can only happen. That can only happen in a holographic environment where the rest of the hologram is unaffected from what the observers at one locale are literally observing. Because in the Phoenix phenomenon, we have seen that the construct is able to quarantine phenomena and make some people experience it while other people have no idea what's going on. These edits can be compartmentalized. Now, highly localized phenomena answers for us the entire historical record. It makes sense of what people documented and what they saw, as long as we pay attention to their frames of reference. They didn't really see knights and dragons and sky dragons and horsemen. They didn't see these things in the sky. These are frames of reference. They are describing, as best they could at the time, what was going on in the sky. But the reason others didn't see the same thing is because the sun is local. It cannot be far, far away. It must be very local to our environment, which means the sky would be simulated. And if the sky is simulated and the stellosphere is simulated, then the moon and the sun are simulated as well. And this is the subject of this video, to show you that this phenomena is documented, and there's multiple different sources that document it, but it's still highly localized incidents. It's very interesting because not one of these events that I mentioned today and showed you pictures of has anything to do with the 138-year periodicity of the Phoenix phenomenon. Not one of them falls on that 138. And yet I'm going to blow your mind with the next video when I show you how all these events are interconnected in different dimensions of arithmetic, all linked to the 138-year Phoenix phenomenon periodicity. All of them. It's shocking. It's amazing to see how it all missed. Only in a hologram can different frameworks or lattice works of arithmetic completely coexist and enmesh. We are observers and we can only see one reality at a time, but we are literally living through multitudes of timelines, and the arithmetic demonstrates this. The Phoenix phenomenon is amazing, but my next video, which is part 2 to this video, is now going to show these dates in a totally different way and show you how it's all the Phoenix phenomenon, or it's something trying to cover up the Phoenix phenomenon. Many of the dates I just gave you are all sequenced in 138-year periods, not just in round numbers, but in other dimensions of arithmetic, as I've shown in the past. So that's my video tonight, guys. I'm glad you joined me. Very rare do I do a video this late, but I had to get this one out because I'm pretty excited about this topic. 1917, the Fatima apparition. 70,000 people watched the sun do something it couldn't do. Why? Because the construct is able to quarantine phenomena. And all those observers experienced something that was very real to them, but the rest of the world were not participants. That's what the Phoenix phenomenon does. It edits our reality as we're living it. Some people get edited out. Some people get phenomena edited into their experience. Others are totally immune to it. Same thing with the Phoenix phenomenon. And this whole series of events is linked to the Phoenix phenomenon mathematically, as I'm going to show you. It's going to blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind, guys. Let me close this out. Put this here. Man, it's crazy. But I'm tired. I've had a long day. I just wanted to get this video out. Finished drinking my Dublin, Texas root beer. I like this stuff. I went and picked up a lot of dog supplies today, and this was on the shelf. So I do have a lot of announcements, but Vegas is going to be very different. I'm giving a whole different message at Vegas. At Vegas, I'm going to show that the oversoul has a sense of humor. I'm going to show that the oversoul is way more forgiving than we give it credit. I'm going to show the exact opposite of what religions teach you. I'm going to give you real life applications and demonstrations. Those of us who's going to join us in Vegas, I'm going to show you the bright side of the Creator. Not all this dark stuff, not all this holier than thou or all this spiritual stuff, not all this a lot of people are trying to change the architecture of their existence. Vegas isn't going to be about the informed field and the relationship with the construct. No, I'm going to be giving examples, and I rarely do this. It comes out every once in a while, but for Vegas, it's all about the great pattern break. This is the Archaix pattern break. We're going to party. I'm also going to show that the prodigal son story has deeper layers of meaning about our relationship with the oversoul. And if you think God's not cool, you think God's not God's just going to put the hammer down on you just because you want to have a little fun, you don't even have a relationship with the oversoul. You have a relationship with the construct and all of its attachments. That's totally different. Vegas, I'm going to show you that God has a sense of humor. So, got a hell of a sense of humor. 10/21. I got to go. Man, I got all these announcements for Office. I got announcements. Man, we're making breakthroughs in Office. I want to give some blessings back to those who join us in the Office deal. I might really give them a big blessing. That's on the table right now. We're going to discuss that with my partners. But yeah, I think we broke the mold with that faster than we ever anticipated. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just rambling. You guys in the links, check out the new Shopify site. I got my Archaix t-shirts and stickers and all my published books, and I really don't know what Big John's got on there. Big John and Cheryl got some stuff on there. I don't know what's. Well, we got all kinds of things happening. I'm just not. The Archaix coffee link is in the description box as well. I got to put that on my YouTube. I'm just behind. I'm a little overwhelmed, and I keep having these little storms of inspiration to get stuff out in between answering all these emails every day. So you guys got to bear with me. I'm not ignoring your emails, just haven't got to it yet. That's all it is. But yeah, as soon as Will releases that podcast, I will give you guys the links in the community section and on Twitter and all across Facebook and all the Archaix groups, because he's an international soccer player. He and I did an awesome podcast this morning. So as soon as he releases that, I'm going to make sure you guys get it. But until then, I'm going to holler at you. Much love, guys.